Hello, this is AJ. Welcome to the next lesson. This lesson is called A Search for Meaning, and I'm going to read a small section from a book called A Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. This is a quite powerful book. Viktor Frankl was a psychologist in Germany before World War II, and he and all of his family were taken by the Nazis, and they were put in concentration camps. Viktor Frankl survived. His entire family was killed. And now he survived, but he suffered terribly in the concentration camps. And I'm sure all of you have seen movies or are far familiar with all the horrible, terrible things that happened in the German Nazi concentration camps. But what's amazing about Viktor Frankl is that he took these terrible experiences and he created a meaningful life from them. He did not quit. He did not become angry and bitter. He did not learn to hate people. Instead, he learned to love and to help people, and he wrote this incredible book called Man's Search for Meaning. Because what he learned in the concentration camp was that our experiences are not the most important thing. It's the meaning we create from our experiences. That's what gives our lives power or what destroys us. And so in this book he talks about all the different prisoners that were in the concentration camp with him, and he talks about which ones remained strong and which ones eventually gave up or quit and they died, which ones became depressed, which ones lost all hope, and which ones continue to have strong minds and to still have hope. So really, he looked at this experience to learn more about human nature in this terrible situation, and he decided that the difference was the meaning that people gave to their experiences. And a lot of coaches, a lot of psychologists talk about this experience, this idea that the meaning we give something is more important than the experience itself. For example, you can have a child that is abused by its parents, treated terribly, and you can have another child that's abused by its parents, treated terribly, and they grow up and they have totally different lives. One child starts to drink or becomes an alcoholic or a drug addict, and they have a terrible life. The other child becomes very successful and caring and loving and helps people and grows and heals the pain. What's the difference? They both had the same situation, the same kinds of experiences. Well, the difference is the meaning that they give to their experience. Some people have a terrible experience and they decide that all people are bad. That's the meaning they give. And now Viktor Frankl, that could be an easy conclusion, right? You're in a concentration camp in Germany, and you're seeing the worst possible behavior from human beings. They're murdering and killing people. They're torturing them. If you're a prisoner, it would be very easy to decide the meaning of this is all people are terrible. Humanity is horrible, and indeed, many people did decide that, and they became bitter and angry, and they lost hope. Viktor Frankl decided the opposite. The meaning he gave was that human beings are powerful and strong. They can survive anything. He focused on the prisoners who survived, who continued to love and to help people. That's what he saw in this experience, a same experience, but he focused on something different. He found a different meaning. He found hope. He found courage. He found love in this terrible situation. And this is something we do in every part of our lives, not just these big terrible things, but everything in our life. We always decide the meaning. Any experience you have, you will choose a meaning for it, consciously or subconsciously, usually subconsciously, right? Usually we are not aware of the meaning we're giving it at the time, but we have to be careful about that. For example, let's talk about something much less serious than concentration camps and death in Germany. Let's just talk about English learning. Now, most of you had rather negative experiences learning English in school. You had probably very boring teachers. I'm sure you had terrible textbooks. Maybe some of you did very badly on tests in your English classes. Most of you probably had bad experiences trying to speak English. You study and you felt like you should be able to speak English, but you had trouble. It's difficult for you, or it as difficult for you. So what's the meaning of these experiences? Many students decided that the meaning is this: English is so hard, it's impossible. Some students decide the meaning is, I'm not good at English, I'm terrible at English, right? That's the meaning that a lot of students, a lot of learners give to the experience. But other students decide a different meaning. They decide, well, those methods were not powerful, those methods didn't work, so I'll find a different way to learn. Same experience, right? Both groups of students had the same terrible experiences in school. One group decides English is too hard, I'm not good at English. A different group decides it's not me, it's just the method. I just need to find a different method. So they keep trying different methods, and then they succeed. They succeed because they gave the bad experience a different meaning. They decided it's just the method, it's not me, it's not English, it's just the learning method in school, so I will find a better way. So you need to look at these meanings and decide on your meanings. Decide and choose positive meaning. Decide and choose meanings that are real and accurate. Don't make something worse than it is. And let me read a quick section from Viktor Frankl's book. And in this section, he's talking about the meaning of success and how to find success. Here it is. Again and again, I admonish my students, both in Europe and in America, don't aim at success. The more you aim at it and make it a target, the more you're going to miss it. For success, like happiness, cannot be pursued. It must ensure, and it only does so as the unintended side effect of one's dedication to a cause greater than oneself, or as the byproduct of one's surrender to a person other than oneself. Happiness must happen, and the same holds true for success. You have to let it happen by not caring too much about it. I want you to listen to your conscience, to your conscience, and do what your conscience commands, and to do this with the best of your knowledge and ability. Then you will live to see that in the long run, success will follow you precisely because you had forgotten about it, precisely because you focused on something bigger than yourself. Okay, that's a nice little paragraph there. So what he's saying is he's talking about meaning again, and he says you need to find a meaning bigger than just you. If you just focus on your personal success, like getting a good score on a test or getting a better job, you will actually find it difficult to succeed. You will not get that success easily. But if you find a different meaning, if you focus on a goal that's bigger than you, bigger than just you, if you focus on contributing and connecting to other people and helping other people and using your success to help people and to do something bigger than just you will actually succeed more. So what he's saying is if you choose a role bigger than just yourself, if you choose to help more than just yourself, you will also benefit more, and that in fact you get more success than if you're selfish. So that's a nice idea, and you've talked a little bit about it in past lessons, but I want to talk about it again. Finding a bigger meaning for your life, not just you, and that goes for everything you do. So when you're learning English again, finding a meaning for your English learning that's bigger than just you. Yes, absolutely. Think of all the great portions that you will benefit personally from improved English. Sure, those are great goals, those are great reasons, but you must also find reasons bigger than just you. How will you use your English ability to help other people, to help your company and your co-workers, to help your family, to help your friends, to help other people who are learning English? That's what you've got to do. You've got to find a bigger meaning, and that bigger meaning will guarantee your success. You succeed faster if you have a bigger meaning. If you only have small, personal, selfish goals, you might succeed, but you succeed more slowly. And this is true in all areas of life, not just learning English. The more you can find a bigger meaning for your life beyond just yourself, the more power and passion and success you will have. It's kind of strange. It's a paradox. A paradox is something that seems to be opposite. It means two opposite things that are true at the same time. Paradox. So the more you think about other people, the more you will benefit yourself. So for example, in business, if you think more about your customers and helping them and helping their lives, you will benefit more. You will get more customers and more money, and you become richer and richer by helping other people, by thinking about other people. If you think only about money for yourself, then customers will not trust you and you actually make less money. So it's the same idea. So that's why I focus so much as a teacher and as a business person on helping my members, helping my students. That's what excites me. It's a bigger purpose than just me, and that gives me the energy and the drive, and it helps me succeed at the much higher level. So I hope you do the same with your English learning, with your career, with everything in your life. Try to find a bigger, deeper meaning beyond just yourself. Well, that's the end of our lesson, Search for Meaning. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you get a chance, absolutely please read the book Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. It's a powerful book. I will see you next time. Hello, this is AJ. Welcome to the next lesson. Here we go. This one is called Be a Champion. And now, champion has a couple different meanings. One meaning of champion is winner, or a winner. So a champion is someone who wins a game or wins a fight or always number one. So we talk about the champion team. So they are the number one team. But we're not using this meaning in this lesson. We're using a different meaning. Another meaning of champion is somebody that fights for a good cause, someone who fights for something good, someone who defends something good, and that's what we're talking about here. Be a champion, and be something that fights for good things, that's not afraid, that you will fight for what is right, you will fight for what is good. That's the idea here. Be a champion. And I'm going to read a small section from book called Free Price Insight. And it's by Seth Godin. Seth Godin is an internet marketing expert. He was a member of Yahoo, the internet company, back in the beginning. When Yahoo was first starting, he helped their marketing, and then later he sold his own company. He made a lot of money, and now he just writes about internet marketing, and he's got a lot of great books about business. But he also talks about just life in general. A lot of his advice about careers, about business, is just good advice in general. It's good advice for life in general, and this is one of the nicest sections of his book, where he talks about being a champion in your career, in your job. And what he means is that in your job you should fight for what is right, what is good, what is interesting, what will help the company most, and usually you have to break rules to do that. Usually you have to be different. Usually you have to be kind of strong to do that. You can't just be the same as everybody else. So let me read this section. And then we'll talk about it more. Here we go. Be a champion. Go ahead. Do something great. Champion an innovation. I dare you, because the choice is between following the rules or doing the right thing. Everyone's got great ideas. You have great ideas. The difference between success and failure, most definitely, is not about a shortage of ideas that are good. Instead, success is about overcoming the status quo and inertia and working within your organization to make things happen. The good news is that this is exactly what your company wants you to do. It's fun, it's rewarding, and once you learn how to do it, you are guaranteed a good job for the rest of your life. The bad news is that it's difficult and is sometimes lonely. Whoever you wish to be, you have to make a choice, a conscious decision to be that person. Will you be a champion? Will you be remarkable? Will you be outstanding in your career, in your life? Or will you be careful and normal and mediocre? Choose. And by embracing this choice, by announcing your choice to yourself and eventually to other people, you will make this process far more likely to succeed. Okay, interesting. A nice section from Seth Godin. I really like him. And of course, again, this advice is great for all of your life, not just your career, but he specifically writes about business and career. So here's what he's saying. He says you have a choice. You have two choices really in your career. You can decide to be normal, follow the rules, be mediocre, do the same thing that everyone else is doing, or you can decide to be a champion, to fight for new things, to fight for innovations, to fight for improvement, to fight for what is right, to fight for creative, interesting projects, to go against what is normal and boring. That's your choice. And he's right, it's scary in the beginning because we all went through normal schools, and in normal schools in almost every country in the world, you're taught to be normal, average, follow the rules. That's what you learn in school, follow the rules, do what you are told. And that is great advice for succeeding in school. It's terrible advice for succeeding in your career or life. Seth Godin is correct. The people with the best careers, with the best jobs, with the most money are champions. They don't just follow the rules. They do no interesting things. They innovate in their companies. They find new ideas that will benefit the company. If they find something that's wrong, they fix it. They don't wait to ask permission. These are the people who have the best careers. And now, I went through this process myself, so you know, I'm not yelling at you because I also, one time in the past, I was just following the rules, doing what everyone else was doing as a teacher. So in my first few jobs, I just did the same thing as every other teacher. I used the textbooks that the school require, and I used the same drills, the same activities, and I thought, well, this is the smart way to improve my career, right? Follow the rules. Do what you're told to do, what everyone else is doing. It didn't work. I continued to get paid very badly. I made very little money. And I didn't enjoy my job, and the worst thing for me was that my students didn't improve, and this bothered me a lot. And in fact, I focused a lot more on my students, and the more I focused on my students, the less I cared about my boss or my school. And I became a champion for my students. I decided I'm going to fight for my students. I will do anything and everything to help them. I will break the rules. I will use different methods. I will throw away the textbooks. I don't care. My job is to be a champion for my students, my customers, my real customers, right? And so that's what I did. I stopped using the normal textbooks. I started to find different methods. I went back to school and got the master's degree, and I learned a lot of incredibly cool, interesting teaching methods, and I began to use those. And every job I got, I was always a champion for my students. As a result, I became more and more popular with my students, with the real customers. They really started to like my class. I got more attention. I started to get more money and better positions. My career improved. And now sometimes I got in trouble because I broke the rules, right? I was a champion, not a rule follower. I got fired from one job because I didn't use the required textbooks and I didn't follow the required procedures and rules. And I refused to use the same grading system that every other teacher used, so I got fired. And many people think, oh, that's terrible, it was terrible. I was not terrible, it was fantastic, because the next job I got was even better. And as a result of getting fired, I began to think about starting my own company. I began to realize if I really want to be a champion, I do what is right. Then I need to be in control. I need to be the boss, because I'm always going to have problems if I am just fighting against traditional schools all the time. And so I started my own company, and my company has grown, and I'm making more money than I ever did as a teacher, and I'm happier than I ever was as an employee. And so my career has gotten better and better and better because I have been a champion for my customers, for my students. And by focusing on being a champion, I have made much more money. I have improved my position. I am now the owner of my own company. Everything is better. I am a better teacher. My students are even happier. Everything improved because of that. And that has been the key. Even if I decided to close my business and just look for jobs, I could get a job very fast, very easily. Why? Because now I am a much better teacher. I'm very confident. I have a lot of experience now as the owner of my own business. So as Seth Godin says, you're guaranteed a good job for the rest of your life if you learn how to be a champion, because there are always companies who are looking for champions, even when the economy is bad, even when times are tough. There's always a job for a true champion. The people who lose their jobs are the people who are normal and average. They can be replaced easily, and you can cut their job and hire a new person and pay them less, or just cut their job because they're not doing anything interesting or new or different. They are replaceable. Normal people are replaceable. People who follow the rules are replaceable. They're easy to cut. Champions are unique. Champions are special. They're remarkable. They're outstanding. Companies don't usually cut them. And if you do get fired, if you do get cut, another company will hire you very quickly. When I got fired from my job in Thailand, I easily found a job in San Francisco. I could have gotten another job in Thailand very easily, no problem, because at that point I was a champion. I had the passion. I had a mission. I had my own unique methods. I was not the same as every other teacher. I made myself a champion. I made myself different, special, and because of that, it was very easy for me to get another job. Very easy. It's the same with you in your career. It doesn't matter what you do in life. If you become a champion, if you fight for what is good, what is interesting, what is new, if you're always trying to innovate, you're going to have a much better career. Then if you just follow the rules and do what everyone else does. So that's my mission to you. Be a champion. Try new things. Fight for new ideas. Fight for creative, cool, interesting projects at your job and in your life. Do this. You're guaranteed to always have a good job with your same company or with a new company. Alright, well, I will see you next time. And welcome to the next lesson. This one is called No Failure. Notice title, I like it. And this comes from a website. Actually, the website is lifecoachesblog.com. And the title of the article is There is no failure, only learning experience. And this is one of my core beliefs, one of my central beliefs. It's a very powerful belief, and I recommend that you decide to have this belief also, because this belief will give you so much power and strength in your life. It's a vital core belief, a vital fundamental belief. By having this belief, you will learn faster and faster. You will succeed more and more. You will get everything you want in your life. Just by believing this simple thing. Let me read it and then I'll talk more about it. Here we go. There is no failure, only feedback. We say that there is no such thing as success, failure, happiness, or depression. Not that person that don't feel these things, but that they are labels. That we take on to things afterwards. Your subjective experience of happiness is quite different from mine. All these emotional states are subjective processes. They are not things. They are things that we do. We don't have happiness. We do happiness. Happiness is not a thing like an apple is a thing. Happiness is a process. A failure is the same. There is no such thing as failure until we label something as failure. For example, contrast two different boys, boy 1 and boy 2. They're both learning how to ride their bicycles, and they're both fumbling about and falling down. Boy 1 says, I keep falling and falling at this again. Maybe I can do this. Maybe I'm just a failure. Say this enough and he starts feeling like a total failure, and he's not going to continue very long. Boy 2 thinks differently. He thinks The last 2 times I found out I was holding my handlebar with only one hand. Maybe there's something to learn. After all, there was also one time I did not fall. So, I must be able to do it eventually. I just need to learn more. A boy one just doesn't get it because he treats his experience as failure and he doesn't get anything out of experience. Boy 2 develops his bicycle riding experience and skill because he doesn't beat himself up. He doesn't label himself as a failure, rather he sees every experience as learning. And now imagine the opposite idea. Imagine how terrible and crazy the opposite idea would be. Imagine there is only failure and no learning experiences. It sounds kind of stupid, doesn't it? Well, it is stupid. And the opposite is much more powerful and true. For if there is no failure, only learning experience, what could be different for you? How would that change your life if you had that belief? For example, when a missile is launched, it doesn't go in a perfect straight line to its target. Along the way, it bumps into problems that cause it to go off course. But an accurate missile takes these experiences as feedback, as learning experiences, and it corrects its course along the way until it finally hits its target. You might be facing the same situation in different areas of your life. Some things are cruising along to their target very smoothly, while others are in the process of course correcting. If there was no failure in your life, only learning experience, how would your life be different emotionally, mentally, socially, physically, and spiritually? Okay, interesting little article and very powerful and very simple really, but this simple idea has so much power. If you will adopt this idea, if you will have this idea as your own and make it stronger and stronger and stronger, so that every time in your life, every experience is only a learning experience. There is no failure, only results, only learning experiences, only feedback. So if you had with trouble with English in the past, you don't fail and you're not a failure. You learned something. What did you learn? Maybe you learned that grammar and translation are not effective learning methods. That's an important lesson to learn. A lot of people never understand that. So, wow, that's a powerful thing that you learned. Maybe you have learned since then that you can improve your English if you use the correct methods. That's an important lesson to learn. Maybe you learned that schools are not effective, and so maybe you can try something different like learning independently, which is what you're doing right now. The point is you don't label yourself as a failure. You don't say I failed. You didn't fail. You learned something from those experiences, or you can learn something if you will think differently. Every experience in your life can be seen this way. If you get fired from your job, well, you have some choices. You can decide that you're a failure. I'm a failure in my career. Something's wrong with me. That's one meaning, you can give it. You can decide there's a failure, I have failed, or you can decide there is no failure, there's only learning. And you can think, what have I learned? What have I learned? What did I learn from my job? What have I learned from being fired? And I went through this experience myself in my life, and being fired was a great learning experience, fantastic. I learned a lot of great things. I learned things about myself. I realized that for me, the students were more important than a school or a boss, and I knew that could always be true. I learned that I like to be independent and make my own choices. I learned that I needed to be my own boss, that I needed to be independent. I learned that I had a great teaching system the students loved, but the status quo, the traditional teachers and administrators, did not like. I learned a lot of lessons from that experience. I don't think it was a failure. I think it was a huge success. In fact, it was a great learning experience. In fact, when I look back in my life, it's usually the tough times, the difficult times that were the best learning experiences that changed my life the most and helped me grow the most, not the easy times. And this is true for most people. Most people learn the most when times are tough. It's a great opportunity, but only if you see it as a learning experience. Only if you have this belief. If you decide I'm a failure, I failed, you learn nothing. You just get sad and depressed and weak. There is no failure, there's only learning. Anytime you have a tough situation, ask the same question: what have I learned? What can I learn? What can I learn from this? What can I learn from this? No failure. You will never fail at English. You just learn. You learn which methods are best and which methods don't work. You learn what you like and what you don't like. You never fail. Okay? Well, I hope you will think very deeply and seriously about this topic. It's a very important topic. It's so simple, but this small change can totally change your life. Never again use the word failure or fail, especially for yourself. Never. Speak only about learning, speak only about results, speak only about feedback. Never use the word failure or yourself for yourself. Alright, well, that is the end of this lesson. I will see you next time. Bye bye. Hello, this is AJ. Welcome to our next lesson. I like this lesson a lot. This topic is one of my favorites. It's called break rules. Break rules is kind of my motto in life. Let's begin. And now this comes from Seth Godin again, another section of Seth Godin's book. And if you remember, Seth Godin is an internet marketing expert. He started his own internet marketing company. He became very successful, super rich and famous and all that. And then he sold his company, and now he writes books about internet marketing. More importantly, he wrote books about success, especially success in business, success in your career, and I absolutely love his books. I love his attitude, and I follow his same approach. I have his same values, and this is one of the big ones, break rules. I like to break rules. In fact, a lot of the members on our Effortless English Club forum call me Rebel Number One. It's kind of my nickname on the forums. Maybe I should make that my official title, not Director of Effortless English, but Rebel Number One. I like it because, in fact, our Effortless English Club is a club of rebels. We don't like to follow the rebels. We don't like to do things the normal way. We don't continue doing stupid things again and again. We don't follow the old, boring, traditional methods of learning. We break the rules. We follow a new method, a new way. We succeed because we are rebels, and now it's your turn to join us. It is your turn to become a rebel, just like us, a rebel English learner, a rebel in your job, a rebel in your life. Alright, I'm going to read from Seth Godin's book, and then I'll come back and talk a little more about this idea of being a rebel. Here we go. Obedience works fine on the well-organized, standardized factory floor, but what happens when we start using our heads, not our hands? What happens when our colors change from blue to white? White collar workers don't get paid to follow the rules. The big difference between today and the old factory economy is that instead of working with a drill or a machine, we work with laptops and telephones. What's neat about this work is that it's different every day. We actually get a lot of freedom to decide what to do next, and our skill in making that decision has a lot to do with our productivity and our success. That's why your boss allows you the time to read this book, to shop online, or to go to lunch meetings, because she's waiting for you to break the rules. She's waiting for you to create big gains in productivity by using your head. Yes, there are exceptions. There are clocks who have every keystroke measure, but that's not really a white-collar job. That's a factory job where you don't get dirty. Instead, you get carpal tunnel syndrome. I'm talking about the vast majority of jobs in our organizations, schools, governments, and corporations. You don't have to wear a factory uniform, and you're expected to contribute more than what's being asked. The thing is, white-collar workers deep down are petrified to do exactly what it is they actually got hired to do. They are petrified to be different. And we all know that we could get replaced tomorrow by someone else almost as good as us, who is willing to work for half as much money. We don't want to blow it. We want to be given instructions and not to invent them. After all, we know how to follow instructions. That's what we learned in school. We invented the myth that doing what your boss says is the best way to keep your job, but in a white-collar setting, this isn't the right answer. And 9 times out of 10, a white-collar worker's reflex is to ask, "What do you think I should do?" The easiest way to avoid pain, it seems, is to follow someone else's instructions, but that is a recipe for failure. To succeed in your career, to really succeed, you have to break the rules. Okay, that's a nice little section from Seth Godin's book, and I love it because the Effortless English Club is all about breaking the rules. We break every traditional English learning rule. We don't do anything normally. Traditional schools take grammar. You memorize grammar, terms, the past progressive, possessives, blah blah blah. We break that rule. We don't do that. Absolutely never. In traditional schools with the traditional rules, they always use the textbooks. You got to have a textbook. You must have a textbook, and we have to have tests and grades and scores. Well, we break those rules too. We never give you a test, and we never use textbooks. We use only real English. The real spontaneous English that I'm speaking right now, real English books that were written for native speakers, they weren't written for English students. We never use textbooks. We never memorize and study hard. With a lot of effort, not vocabulary, not grammar. No, we listen easily and relax. We listen repeatedly again and again, and we learn intuitively, subconsciously, effortlessly. We don't do boring drills and exercises, right? You get in a pair with another student and you practice saying some speech or some sentence or some dialogue. Hell no, we never do that. No, we listen and we listen and we listen, and then we get on the forums and we write to each other and communicate, real communication. And then you get on Skype and you talk to each other, real communication focused on meaning. In regular schools, they always follow the rules. They tell you your mistakes all the time. They're very worried about mistakes. In normal schools, we never worry about mistakes. Never. We worry about communication. We want to be understood. We want to communicate clearly. We worry about meaning, but never do we worry about mistakes. We know mistakes are necessary. We love mistakes. That's how we learn. We love them. So I never correct your mistakes. Never, never, never. We're always breaking the rules. I, as a teacher, always break these rules. You, as an English learner, and especially as a new member of the Effortless English Club, you must break the rules. And you're already doing it by listening to these lessons. You rebel. You're a rebel too. You need to accept it. I may be rebel number one, but you're one of our rebels too. You're an Effortless English Club rebel. Accept it, celebrate it, be happy about it, because you're going to speak excellent English, and all the power following the rules. All the people going to the normal schools, memorizing grammar, taking tests, they're never going to do it. Or maybe you will, but it's going to take them years and years and years, much longer than you. And they're going to suffer, and they're going to hate it. They're going to be bored and tired and upset and frustrated, and you're going to be smiling and moving and jumping around and laughing when you learn English. You're going to speak better than they do. Your vocabulary is going to be better. Your fluency will be better. Your pronunciation will be better because you break the rules. It's time for you to do this in other parts of your life too, especially your job or career. In tough economic times, and the people who break the rules do the best. They get noticed. And they have something special. If you follow the rules, you're like everybody else, and that means it's easy to cut your job. It's easy to say goodbye to you. It's easy to fire you because you're not special. Why should they keep you? But if you break the rules, you do something great, you do something different, and you are different because most people are afraid to do that. So you want to be remarkable, outstanding. You want to have a great career. You want to do anything well, more than well. You want to do it fantastically well. You want to be great at it. You have to break the rules. What are the rules? The rules in any area of life are what most people do. It's the normal, acceptable thing to do. So if you follow the rules, you will be normal and acceptable just like everyone else, which means you will get the same results as everyone else. You'll be paid an average amount of money. You'll be kind of bored at your job because most people are kind of bored at their job. You'll improve slowly because that's what most people do. If you want more, you've got to break the rules. You have to do what other people don't do. You have to do what other people are afraid to do. That's how you improve faster and succeed more in your job, in your career, in your business, in English learning, in anything. Don't be a cow. Don't follow the herd. Don't do what everyone else is doing. Break the rules. Be a rebel. Join us. Join the rebellion at Effortless English. Alright, I hope I have convinced you, at least for English learning. I hope you will join us at the Effortless English Club and proudly be a rebel in your English learning. I hope you do it in other parts of your life too. But you can start with English learning. Alright, I will see you on the forums and I will see you next time. Hi, this is AJ. Welcome to our next and final lesson. Are you ready? This is it. So you've got to be strong for this one. This is our last week. Remember, keep your body strong. We've got to get this English, get this learning deep into your body, not just your brain. So I want you moving, I want you smiling, I want those shoulders back, I want you to use all the tools for this one, okay? Let's go. This one is called Tribes. This comes from a book called Tribes by Seth Godin. So Seth Godin again, a different book. And in this book, Seth Godin talks about modern tribes. What's a tribe? A tribe is basically a family, a big extended family. So it's not just a mother and father and sister, brother, not just grandparents. It's really a whole collection of families that are connected together. So a collection of families that create one big group called a tribe. Now, of course, there's sort of an old historical meaning to this. We talk about Native American tribes, African tribes, but there's also a modern meaning, and that's what Seth Godin is writing about. He's writing about modern tribes. Now, a modern tribe is not based on family. It's just a group of people that are connected by some common purpose, some common meaning. And of course, the internet makes it possible for us to have international tribes. We can connect with people all over the world who share the same purpose, the same meaning, or similar purposes, similar meanings as ourselves. Seth Godin again is a business writer, so he writes a lot about this phenomenon. This experience of tribes on the internet from a business perspective, but really is also a phenomenon, an experience that is very general. People are connecting with each other all over the world for learning, for social purposes, for dating, for business, of course, for many different purposes. And at Effortless English, this is one of my big goals for Effortless English is to create a tribe of enthusiastic, passionate, positive English learners, and really more than just English learners. The meaning of Effortless English, the purpose of Effortless English is not just learning English, have you noticed? It's about living better lives, happier lives, more passionate lives, more energetic lives, healthier lives. We're just using English to connect with each other. We're using English to find other people who want these same things, so we can encourage each other, so we can learn together. English is our tool. It's the way we can all share together. It doesn't matter if we're from the United States or from Mexico or from somewhere in South America, or from Spain or Germany or Japan or Thailand, anywhere in the world. We can share together, we can connect using English as our tool. But English is not our final purpose. It is not the final meaning or purpose of our tribe. So let me read a little bit from Seth Godin's book Tribes, which is an excellent book, by the way, and then I'll talk more about it. So here we go. The opportunity is simple. There are tribes everywhere now, inside and outside of organizations, in public and in private, in non-profits, in classrooms. Across the planet, every one of these tribes is yearning for leadership and connection. This is an opportunity for you, an opportunity to find or assemble a tribe and lead it. And the question isn't, is it possible for me to do this? And now the question is, will I choose to do it? For a long time, I've been writing about the fact that everyone is now a connector, a member. The explosion in media channels, combined with the increased leverage of individuals within organizations, means that just about anyone can influence just about anyone else. And this book says something new, something even better, more exciting. Everyone is not just a connector, not just a member. Everyone is now a leader. The explosion in tribes, groups, and circles of interest means that anyone who wants to make a difference can. Without leaders, there are no followers. You're a leader. We need you. Something to believe in. Tribes are about faith. They are about something to believe in. Tribes are about belief in an idea and in a community, and they are grounded in respect and admiration for the leader of the tribe and for the other members as well. Do you believe in what you do every day? It turns out that belief happens to be a brilliant strategy. Okay, that's a nice, interesting section from Seth Godin's book Tribes. And what I like about this is that phrase that everyone is now a leader. And I want you to think about that everyone is now a leader. We're all members too, but we're also all leaders. And I want you to be a leader in our Effortless English Club. I want you to be a leader. I want you to inspire and help other people, not just yourself. For example, we have excellent leaders already in our club. Many of the mini stories in these lessons have characters with names of effortless English leaders. For example, Inka. Inka is one of our fantastic leaders. She is from the Czech Republic, I believe, and she is just amazing. She is always helping other members in our club. She is always answering their questions. She is always encouraging them. She is a true leader. There's a Big Chen, who's another one of our fantastic leaders. There's Vanilla. There are so many great leaders in our group, and I want you to be one of them. Since you have finished all of these lessons, I know that you have a very good level of English, and I know that you can now very easily go on to our forums of our master member site or both, and you can be a leader now. You have done something amazing. You completed all of these lessons. You did all of the mini stories. Your English ability has increased and improved so quickly, so well. I know you can do it. So I want you to get on those forums. I want you to get on the master member site, and I want you to communicate with our other members, help them. Because some of those people are just starting and maybe like you, maybe they have some doubts, maybe they have some worries, and maybe they need someone to encourage them. Maybe they need someone to say something kind to them or nice to them. Maybe they need someone to help them feel stronger and more confident, or to show them an example of leadership. You can do that now, so please, now is the time where you can share, you can give it to other people now. You can now be the teacher, and that is my true purpose in the Effortless English Club. Not to be the big leader and the big teacher, just me, but to create more teachers, more leaders. I want you to do that now. I want you to feel that same happiness and gift when you help another person, when you help them feel better, feel stronger, feel happier. So please get on our forums, join us, join our master member site, and do that for someone else now. Just a kind word, Just a little encouragement, just answer one question, and you make a big difference for someone else. You help someone else. I hope you do it. So now is the time for the final step. The final step is to use everything you have learned. Number 1, that means to use the actual English you have learned, the vocabulary, your new speaking ability, all of that. And that means connection with people and speaking to them and writing to them. It means real communication, not just studying. You can't just be a student only. You got to be out there and use it. Well, you can do that now. You completed all these lessons and you now have the ability you probably already had the ability before. You definitely have the ability now. So get on Skype and talk to other members. Get on the forums, find somebody, make an appointment with them, talk to them on Skype or talk to them on the phone, or just get on the forums and write in English. Write your story, write about your emotions, help other people connect, use it. The second thing you must do, these final steps, is to lead. As I've been saying, and I'm going to say it again, your last and final step is to share the strength, the confidence, the ability you now have with other people. Inspire them, lead them. You're a leader. We need you. I will see you next time. I will see you on the master member site, where I will be giving you videos every month. I'll see you on the forums. Take care. Thank you so much for listening to these lessons. I hope you have grown happier, stronger, and of course, I hope you have become a much more confident English speaker. It's been my privilege and my honor to teach you and to help you. Thank you so much.